Hello, everyone. Hey, we got a few people over there. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show. Back. Happy Father's Day. Should be an interesting afternoon. We'll see if Liam can say Happy Father's Day today. That would be kind of cool. That would be a nice bonus. Anyway, I hope you're all enjoying your day with your respective old men, and I don't know, doing whatever Father's Day things are done. Uh, we are, I suppose, slowly working through the current school term, and a big part of this free Sunday show is really to do nothing more than just try and help the level oneers get through the mountain of course material that we put forth. And actually, we did have one person in particular who asked specifically if we could go through all the different breadth indicators and sentiment indicators in the market. This is an interesting inflection point. With the market here. I mean, we've been, barking about the end of May, June window as finally this silly market was going to calm down and put in some sort of bottom, and we'd enjoy a nice little seasonal rally. And I'm sure you guys are probably all very familiar with that thought. I mean, I suppose I could go through it again, but I think I do it like every day on the daily brief. And a typical U.S. Congressional midterm election year performance out of the stock market, decennial reports, January barometer, all that. Oh, that reminds me, Josh. We were going to do an update to the January barometer blog post, weren't we? I think that would be very appropriate here, given the middle of June. Excellent, cool, right on. I have to say, I'm pretty darn impressed with this TRI website and community. Very, very impressed. Not only do we have just an outstanding, um, core educational team. Grim Sharktoshi, Peter, even today, kicking ass for the level oneers. Kiran and Marat doing a fantastic job. Level tours. Level tours sort of get a first taste of what sort of a trader's life is really like. I think Kiran's a nice slap in the face for you. Grim's like, hey, we get through this. It's all good. We could do it. Yeah. And Kiran's just get to work. Quit making excuses. Just get to work. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. And then I love Zach and Ray have a really interesting karmic feel. Because ironically enough, actually, when you get to spread trading of options, if you do it right, it's actually a really fun experience, and it's really low cost. And the great part about it is, Ray even is really good with scripting. Level 2 program, I suppose we start you off on that journey with Sharktoshi. Talking to you a little bit about scripting, but Ray takes it definitely to the next level. And the computer itself will just spit up what's the appropriate spread trade. And actually, even just this past TRI secret options formula meeting, we were looking at the grain markets. And the sad part about it is, of course, the public gets kind of played, I think, to a certain degree in this world. In that things like the energy market, technically you're supposed to buy the middle of February, sell the middle of May, you made money. No, the best 10 years, right? Typical commodity broker sales pitch. And actually that's really unleaded gasoline. But anyway, point being, bullish of energy through the winter into the spring, and then sell, take profits into the late spring, early summer. And I'm sure all of you are seeing we're supposed to be going through this, hey, runaway inflation, and it's all fucking Vladimir Putin's fault, and it's all energy's fault, and it's all, well, what are they doing to the wheat market and all that? I mean, any longtime viewers of this channel, you'll know full well, and I actually like reminding all of you who don't know, but this this thing called quote unquote inflation is actually a complete and utter fraud, which is so ironic, right? Joey Diamond goes and calls Bitcoin a fraud, right? With point blank, and everybody's like, "Oh, he must be so smart. He must be." And the irony of it all is like J.P. Morgan. How many times have they been convicted of fraud and stealing customer money and all that, right? So I would make the argument that price inflation is nothing more than a complete and utter fraud. And really all price inflation is, and if you want to go to the man himself, this is Milton Friedman. It doesn't get any more. You can't argue with this guy. With Beamish, you can go, shut up, you stupid YouTuber. You're just a punk ass bitch. You don't know what you're doing. You're poor, whatever. You don't know nothing. You can't argue with Milton Friedman. Sorry. I don't care who you are. You can be Joey Diamond. You can be fucking. And the sad part about it is this clown here. And I actually think the poor guy I think was completely played by the 1%. But this guy, and a lot of people are like, hey, he got paid a lot of money to take this job on. So don't think for a moment, don't have any empathy for him. He got in full deep into this job. So I'm sure he knows what he's going to get. But, here's a really good analogy. This is how bad Mr. Powell knows how bad the fraud is. And he knows how made up all this bullshit is about inflation and stuff. And you can see as he's reading his script for the last press conference, he's shaking like a leaf because he sees that the market doesn't believe their bullshit, right? This guy and Granny actually a year or two ago came out and said, oh no, there's no connection with inflating the money supply and inflation. It's never been proven. And by the way, we're not going to publish M2 money supply data anymore because you're paying way too much attention to it. Yeah, we're paying way too much attention to it because there's people in previous generations that proved without a shadow of a doubt that the M2 money supply relative to the actual production of the economy makes an enormous difference as to the prices that consumers pay in the marketplace. And the only reason why they're doing this M2 money supply jerk off is because the banksters lent way too much money when they were not supposed to, but they're greedy ass motherfuckers that basically bilk our society for fees and service charges. I went to the bank the other day and I wanted to transfer some money down to a futures brokerage house, and the bank's politely, yes, that'll be a $50 wire charge. Now, what are you doing for that $50? Oh, nothing. We're going to press a couple buttons. Beep, 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 beep. Done. $50, just like that. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. This is the banking cartel, and it is the way that they sadly run our country right now. I thought it was interesting. Somebody on the site, I don't know whether I tweeted it out because it's a bit controversial. I think actually I just sort of replied to it because I didn't really like the shill that was associated with the video. Be damn careful about buying your gold and silver here, people. Please. You're walking into a trap, I think, which really sucks, but oh well. But I was talking with somebody, Eddie. This guy Eddie, man, he's going to be one rich motherfucker by the end of this. I think he gets this, and he's already smart as a whip. So now he actually has been informed how the game is played. I don't think, sadly, most people in this world, probably 95% of the people in the world, nobody teaches them how to play the game. So they spend half of their life chasing this asset, chasing that asset, buying tops, getting destroyed when markets collapse. Now Eddie knows the rules of the game, and he's just working his way through the education program. So I would imagine every week it's sort of like, oh, that's an interesting new thing. But at least now he knows how to play the game. I'd be very afraid. Give Eddie like 10 years in the marketplace, and oh boy, it's going to be some serious damage out there. Anyway, he posted this video. Like I said, I didn't like the shill that she's all about. I mean, basically a sponsored gold shill. Didn't like that at all. So that's why I didn't really retweet it. But did comment that I thought that the video itself was worth listening to. The gentleman himself. And it's interesting how he even said, well, he kind of uncovered the sort of the banksters modus operandi. I think that's what they call it. And he had a lunch with Janet Yellen one day, and he spilled the beans with her. And then he found out mysteriously a week or two later that the firm that he was working for fired him. It's like, oops, maybe I said the wrong thing to the wrong person. What a surprise! I mean I've worked at banks before. If you are not a mindless drone that does exactly as you're told, no matter where you are on the ladder, the only people that actually get to think in a bank sort of setting is the bank president. Nobody else is allowed to think. You do as you're told, or you get the fuck out. Anyway, so it's interesting how he kind of uncovered sort of a little bit of the secret sauce behind the banking industry. But make no mistake about it. The price inflation that you are going through here now is a direct result of the money printing through this whole quantitative easing nonsense. And the problem with that, right, is it's really easy to get angry at the banksters, but why are the banksters doing what they're doing? And here's where the real problem in our society lies. The banksters, of course, know an indebted individual is their slave. Because if they don't make the debt payments, then illegally, the banksters can just come and foreclose and take whatever the underlying asset collateral is. So it gives them incredible power. And then, and this is the worst part about all this, is quite often we humans, we live a little bit beyond our means. And when times get tough and you need to scale back, it's almost politically impossible now to do that in the way that they have set up these democratically elected governments in our society. You literally cannot go to the election saying, I am going to be austere. You do that, and the other guy's going to win. And I think that the banksters fully know this fact. And so, the old Rothschilds quote, I don't really care who's in control of the government. You give me control of the money supply, I run the show. And, this gentleman that I just made reference to here, he was actually saying that it's quite maniacal the way that the banking industry takes apart countries one by one around the world. But to all intents and purposes, it's exactly the same thing here in the West and in the hegemony country itself, the United States of America. What we have is a situation where democratically elected politicians are encouraged probably by the banksters themselves to make promises that they know they can't keep. So as a result, the only way to keep the promise is to go into debt. And you go into debt, and now you are the bankster's slave. Boom. Nice. That was easy. And then, as soon as the banksters feel pretty confident and comfortable, they'll start tightening the screws on the public to see if they can get more assets and more assets, right, through the process of bankruptcy and foreclosure. And the worst part about that is that they have the discretion who they're going to lend money out to. So half of the problem in 2008 wasn't so much that the consumer couldn't service the debt itself, is that, based on your net worth, based on your credit history, they were able to change interest rates charged dramatically, which in essence was basically a forced eviction notice. because people couldn't handle the higher monthly payments. So um, it's a very cozy relationship that our democratically elected politicians and this banking class have. And that is the reality of the world that we live in. The question at any given point in time, and of course, it's way beyond us small people in this world. I mean, all we are is sort of spectators. If anything, you all, especially you crypto enthusiasts, got a really, really, really good lesson just recently in what happens when you actually have the audacity to even suggest that you are bulletproof to the banksters. I bet you that Do Kwon guy is going to be spending the rest of his days regretting his arrogance. And I guess the bottom line is, uh, always play from a position of strength in this game. Always, 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 always. I'm not really a fan of the debt system. I have no debt. Um, I own my car. I rent a place. I'm actually thinking about buying a place with cash, no mortgage. Question is, what country? We're leaning towards Portugal. Oh, and by the way, we are having a meetup in Portugal because I am going to be going around and touring Portugal, looking at places this late summer, early fall. And we thought, what the hell? Why not have a meetup while we're at it? So the week of the 17th of September, I believe, we're all planning on descending onto. I think we're going to hit Porto, and then probably 16, 17, 18, be down in that Nazaré area. And we're going to get a half decent Airbnb down there and have a really nice house party. Go grill up some steaks and have a couple of drinks, kind of thing. Hopefully, we don't get into too much trouble. But if you happen to be in the area, you're more than welcome to pop on by. And actually, on a weekly basis now, we are having the meetup meetings. And we had a very productive meeting this past Saturday, and also even looked at a couple places for potential TRI campuses. One place, really, it didn't look too bad to me. The price point was pretty good. So feeling pretty optimistic that actually a year from now, you might find that Brian's actually reporting in from Europe. Well, we'll see how that goes. Still lots of moving parts there. Anyway, point of the matter here is you will be hearing over the coming weeks. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised crypto-wise that we actually have a half decent rally heading into the latter part of the summer. So let's see how it goes. If anything, I went and picked up a whack of Ethereum down here. Maybe if we're lucky, the price pops up into the end of the summer and Mr. Vitalik can pay for our entire party. Wouldn't that be fun? No, I'm not going to El Salvador. No, that's not the direction I want to go in. You know what kind of bums me out? I got to say, somebody on the site posted this and God, it pisses me off. I hope you all heard that there's no way in hell I was going to buy any Bitcoin anywhere north of about 20 G's over the past few years. And I don't know how the hell this happens, but I see this every single cycle. I see this every single, bull bear market. And it leaves me scratching my head. How on earth? I mean, that Mr. Sailor guy now, he is literally down like something like $1 billion. I mean, just insane amounts of money. How on earth does a guy like that even have the ability to manage that kind of money, but do it so stunningly horribly and still somehow stay in business? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's baffling. Somebody was on the site sharing. I think it was Elongate and Sailor Gate and El Salvador Gate. their performance. I mean, it's horrible what they've done. Absolutely horrible. So it absolutely baffles me how these people can be in business and Brian's sitting here eating fucking tuna fish sandwiches and just slow and steady wins a race, everybody. Go slowly, go slowly. Don't take too big of bets. Don't chase, which is technically the right message. I mean, Josh, you're a marketing guy. I mean, should we maybe do like a crowdfunding and get like a mutual fund going? Actually, like let's not make stupid decisions with our money kind of fund or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it absolutely baffles me. Yeah, that's right. Somebody on YouTube goes, Sailor needs to take level 1. He does. I mean, this is what kills me about this is that if you just follow, I mean, all you gotta do is just get goddamn Josh's coffee mug. I swear. Look at I mean here I'm on camera here. I got Sassy behind me, so I'll turn Sassy off and you can see my wonderful office here. But actually, I don't even know what I'm showing on screen. But there's my office. I don't think I'm showing this on YouTube. But gee whiz, shouldn't we go? Where's the camera? There's the camera. Look at what Josh has done here. I mean, wouldn't it be a good see? Do you see this image right here? There to there, there's the green box. And there goes price down into the green box. And once we're at green boxes, start looking for those W things. It's right on the fucking coffee cup. Should we like order a gross of these coffee cups and maybe just send them as like mercy gifts to people like Mr. Sailor? I mean, this is ridiculous. You like my stash? But like seriously, I mean, like I couldn't believe how much money the guy has gone and lost. I mean, just insane amounts of money. And yet we keep saying the same damn message. I mean, nothing has changed here. You look at the Bitcoin chart, and this is what kills me about Bitcoin, right? How haven't we been talking about this forever? I mean, the irony of it all, I have to say, is that this is actually happening a lot faster than I thought it was going to happen. But this is everything that we do. I mean, there's nothing out of the ordinary here. It's shocking, and I can't believe how those people like Michael Saylor and stuff like that, how they can continue their funding, right? How did they get access to $1 billion and then be able to go and blow it? Like, no big fucking deal. I mean, it just baffles me, people. I don't get it. I must be missing something here. Ranting to 52 people, and yet we're the people who actually know how to play this game. And like I said, now Eddie knows how to play this game. I would imagine, and maybe Eddie's here in the hangout, you can tell me, but probably in years gone by, you would have looked at that Michael Saylor guy and gone, that guy's actually pretty damn smart. And yet he was dumb as fuck. Ugh, it's terrible. I don't get it. It's nuts. Oh, well. Not quite sure how I got off on that tangent. But I will say, speaking of coffee cups, I don't know where the hell it is. Coffee cups. We were actually just reviewing this before we got the show going. Josh here has been sort of captain in charge of the TRI swag shop. And look at this cool little shop he's got here. And it's too bad I didn't promote this like a month or so ago, eh? Because wouldn't that be the coolest freaking Father's Day gift ever? Did like that? Oh man, we fumbled the ball here, Josh. We really did. You gotta hit these days, right? Where the kids are like, what the hell am I gonna get Dad for Father's Day this year? Right. And if a dad opened up that, he'd be like, son of a bitch, what the fuck is this? Like, wouldn't that be cool? I gotta tell you, man, this is awesome. It's just over the top awesome. I was so impressed. when I opened up the package and I saw that coffee cup, and I was just like, holy shit. It's almost so valuable. You don't even want to use the mug because you don't want to like have to put it in the dishwasher or something and take the chance of anything rubbing off. Look, he's even got the goddamn fibs on here. Look at this. 1.618 to 200%. Actually, I'm surprised you didn't put a parking garage reference there. But now, we'll do it. So, and actually, we should probably, Josh, we should have a version 2 where we're gonna look at this. He's even got key reversals on here. Look at that. I mean, this is crazy. I couldn't believe when I saw this. I was just I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I could not believe it. That should sell. We should sell 1 million of those coffee cups. I'm serious. And I don't even know, is the TRI logo on here anywhere? Oh, Josh, you're missing the damn TRI logo. You got to have the logo on here somewhere. Oh, okay. So actually, I found a flaw. You gotta. I gotta tell. I was over the top impressed with this. I mean, it was just damn impressive. But version 2.0, we gotta have a logo on there, Josh. Oh my goodness! I gotta tell you, I'm giddy. I'm absolutely giddy at what I'm seeing happen here now. What do you think? Brian would probably fall over. Yeah, exactly. So somebody over there on YouTube, Josh, write this shit down. This is gold. We could do like coffee cups with setups like the El Tangonator setup or the bod setup. We could do chaos levels. We could do like divergences. We could have like a whole series of coffee cups, like the TRI collector set. Wouldn't that be cool? Wow. Man, that's like next level. Oh, anyway, total shill. Sorry, everybody. But I like that. Josh sent me this stuff. Oh, and by the way, if you actually see, I've got to change the uniform. Josh just he set up the new hoodies and stuff, and he sent me, and I'm wearing this one right now. So now for the past 3 or 4 years, all you did was you saw me in gray. Now you're going to see me in black. The one thing I liked about the other hoodie is it had the Rational Investor in really big letters right across the back like this, but in really big. I think these have like opportunity is now here on them. And I kind of liked being able to just turn around and people would read my back, the Rational Investor. I'd say, that's me. It made it really easy. So anyway, but we can work on that down the road. I got to say, man, very, very impressive. Look at this. Next bus in 10 minutes. But I like that idea, like a collector set of like a half a dozen mugs with different themes on the mugs. Like you've thrown almost everything into this one mug. But you could definitely do like setups. We could do chaos levels. We could do GAN squares. Maybe not GAN. That might be a little difficult to convey on this. But anyway, I'm not even quite sure why I went off on this tangent today. But check out this Wags shop. I was over the top impressed with that. And so everybody should be wearing. I would love it if I was just walking down the street and I actually saw a young couple walking down the street with this. That would be crazy. I would be like, wow. Well, JoJo, I think you got what you wanted. Anyway, so kind of a waste of time there. Sorry, everybody, but damn cool. Damn cool. Okay. And by the way, all the price inflation that you see here, it's a direct result of the quantitative easing. Don't let anybody fool you. And if you just want to write down, don't listen to me. Listen to Mr. Smarty Pants. Milton Friedman is a very well-respected economist that used to keep these government people in line. But then the guy goes, of course, I don't even know if he's even still alive, but I think he's dead. So all of these people that really know this game of what's going on, there's nobody around nowadays to hold these bankster cocksuckers to check. There's just nobody. Nobody has the balls to be able to stand up and be a Milton Friedman. And that's the one great part about listening to Milty is he knows his shit. He doesn't even blink. He would stand up. He died 16 years ago, eh? That's too bad. It figures, eh? What a surprise. Over the past 16 years, they pulled off the quantitative easing literally as soon as the last guy who sort of saw their bullshit, he goes and dies. And of course, they've got carte blanche to do whatever they want. Anyway, his message doesn't change. It's exactly the same. Nothing has changed. And the worst part about this is that the Democratic leader in these Western nations, they're not economists by trade. In fact, my dear leader is a substitute drama teacher by trade. Highly, highly educated people, these people are. Highly educated. You got to be, I think you have to almost get a perfect SAT score to get the job of substitute drama teacher. It's like seriously taxing stuff. So the banksters, of course, people substitute drama teachers, it's almost laughable. They just sit there and they go, this is child's play. I can get this guy to do anything I want. All I gotta do is just, phrase it in a certain way that appeals to his emotional woke nature, and boom, you get whatever you want. So, and of course, also too, the worst part about democratically elected politicians is there's only one thing on their mind ever. 50 years on this planet, I learned this lesson a very hard way a long time ago. Remember, my father was a politician. Only one thing. And actually he was a wannabe politician. I don't think he was actually ever elected, which is probably worse. Right? So, yeah. So anyway, point of the matter here is don't kid yourself. The inflation that we have here is all about the monetary base, 100%. I mean, if anything, knowing that they pulled off the QE, they knew all of these banksters. Why do you think this guy's hair is so damn white? I mean, what's shocking about this is the poor guy, when he came into office, he was not that white. But this guy, Mr. Can't hold a piece of paper without it shaking like a leaf. Oh God, I don't know where he went. He was just a regular Joe Sixpack like you and me. But he knows full well that for lack of a better term, the con job that's been pulled here on all of the working class, right? Because really, what inflation is, as Milty will tell you, is it's basically a tax. But check out this guy's hair. Why on earth would it go from like 5 years? He was basically looked like, just typical, sort of mid 50s, 60s guy, a little bit of gray, salt and pepper. And now he's like white as a ghost. The only way you can justify that is his conscience is really taxed here. So sad. Anyway, what can you do? Interesting too, like an interesting sign of the times. Mr. Musk even pointed it out that he went and poked the hornet's nest and tried to uncover the again what I would consider a crime of our society, the way that the 1% monkey around with this social media thing, this social media experiment to really play on the humans' emotional reactions and behavioral patterns. Very sad. And now, of course, they're going after him. Interesting angle that they're going to try and sink him through Doge. And they're actually using charges like racketeering. That's hilarious. But I suppose that's what you get. You play with the big boys. I've always thought that Mr. Monks was very similar to George Westinghouse. So I don't know that you know what George Westinghouse, his story, but basically he basically told the banksters to go fuck themselves. And he basically like kind of hijacked the whole U.S. electrical grid build out idea from JP Morgan. And so the banksters, they basically went to war with Westinghouse, and they finally killed him, or, monetarily killed him, and they basically stole his electric company from him. And the rest is history, right? Very typical bankster sort of behavior. They always say, those whom the gods wish to destroy first make drunk with power. If anything, it's probably better that I do fly under the radar screen with all of my 59 viewers. Oh, sorry, I got 10 people in the hangout with me here. 69 viewers. It's probably better, for all of you people that really want to learn and get good at this and try and make the world a better place and all that. It's probably better that we don't become over the top popular. So then that way, we don't get drunk with power and we get like a magic internet money or a Do Kwon scenario, and boom, there's no more TRI. So anyway, interesting times. Probably be interesting to see whether Doge itself can survive the onslaught. I thought that was an interesting story that developed over the past week or so. Somebody commented that, gee whiz, you bought these things up here. You had to go through a world of pain, and you finally got a nice win off. There must be a lot of names like this that are like that you've done. And yeah, we put together a Shitcoin 5,000 challenge back a year or so ago. This was one of the Shitcoin 5,000 challenge names. And probably 80-90% of those names have done absolutely nothing look exactly like this. They often say that it just takes one or two names in a portfolio of a dozen names or so to actually make the portfolio perform. And quite often what ends up happening in venture capital is you do sit on a bunch of dogs that do absolutely nothing. And every once in a while, the dog has its day in the sun and you get a big pop on some sort of, financing deal or some sort of media or winning an award or something like that, and you have to sell into those rallies. That is actually the business of running venture cap book. That is sort of the principle behind Little Old Lady. So while you're probably right that I bought this and I had to sit underwater for quite a while, that's in essence the whole point of Little Old Lady, is that you like the name, you're going to put some money to work into it, and you don't mind if it goes off the board. I mean, ideally, we don't want it to go off the board, but you're busy at Canasta and you've got your broker working and he has the orders to sell halves on doubles. And if and when they have their day in the sun, then you expect to get fills. So interestingly enough, this actually went exactly the way typical venture cap sort of investing, especially in things like shitcoins, is the way it goes. The only problem now is that I actually think that this story is old. The story is stale. We actually have to get ready for a new paradigm going forward. Cryptocurrencies, I think, keep in mind, cryptocurrencies now, they've been trading for like a good decade. So you can't even argue that this is new. This is actually yesterday's story. And I don't know, I just see so many little pieces of writing on the wall that just say, you know what? Yeah, probably best just to leave all this stuff alone. I don't really want to promote the idea. In fact, I hate to say it, Benner Cycle, going back to Josh and his awesome swag. If you don't know what the Benner Cycle is, of course, you can always check out the TRI blog. I think, I'm not mistaken. Actually, where is, I guess over here, TRI's social media page. Yeah, I think this is his pinned message. And actually, I really like this because the original document, of course, very difficult to see. So Josh actually went and sort of cleaned this up a little bit so you can actually see the image. But this is just an image on the TRI thing. But like we just showed there a moment ago, I don't know where I thought I had it. Sorry. But there's a mouse pad, right? This is another great Father's Day gift. It'd be cool to have this on the mugs, but like I think Josh said, it might be a little difficult to really see it because there's so much good information here. Anyway, as you can see here, C, right? This is years of hard times, low prices, and a good time to be a buyer. So when is that window coming up here? And I don't know whether you can see this or not. What year does that say? And what year are we in now? Are we in that year? No, we're not. But it sadly means is we probably just got to sit here and twiddle our thumbs. We made it through the first 6 months, and it was a big pain in the ass. Don't get me wrong. So again, I guess a reference to Josh and his hard work. We have, of course, been thinking about things like January barometer just looks like an absolute train wreck. The decennial cycle, theoretically, we should bottom somewhere in the middle of the summer here, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a serious test, especially in the US market, it'll look like this. The international markets, oh boy, like Canada, oh goodness. I don't know how bad this dip is going to be, but you dip, we dip, we dip. How does that song go? I think if anything, that should be the theme of 2022 is we dip, you dip, he dips. Anyway, if we're lucky, the rest of the year looks like this. If we're unlucky, I think the rest of the year actually looks more like this, which is sadly, and I said this earlier, I mean, I just keep mentioning this. I think the market is done exactly as this study suggested. We're tanking basically into the second half of June here. And I got to say, with Bitcoin, frankly, I even said it just a few minutes ago. I'm even surprised at how deep this dip was. That's a deep dip, though, we're having right now. So I don't know where the hell this ends. It looks like it's near sort of the latter part of the month. I mean, thank heavens. We're running out of June here. But I get the distinct impression that somewhere along here, there is a massive pivot in the market. Now, did we just see it? We might have. One thing that kind of concerns me on the daily charts. Now, I have seen markets do this before, so don't get me wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to go this way this time. One thing I noticed on the daily charts is we're still, there's the daily price chart. I mean, theoretically, if I was in my prop trading days, I'd be short from this 25 level. That's the bot. And I would have had my orders to move my stop to scratch at 50%. So that's that move there. I would have moved my stop loss to probably just above this blue downline, this high to low trend line there. Market's bobbing and weaving. Then a new ugly M, just the ugliest M came in here. And this ugly M actually set up like an A, B, C, D. So this is like a 4-hour bearish pattern. But long and short of it here, now we've had move stop to trailing level hit, 66% of this anticipated move. So if anything, what you should be doing now is just if a W comes in, then you hop off this short, but just trail your stops. And I'd use what we call the 3 high low method. So that would be one high, that would be a second high, that would be a third high. So I'd have my stop just right above this level, 32,000 on that short from 39. And then as we make lower highs and lower lows, you just use that 3 high low method to trail stops all the way down. I think I did a public YouTube little piece. Chris and Josh put that together recently, maybe. I can't remember. Anyway, point here is there's your target. All right, this is a pretty simple A, B. So there's the first part of the move, consolidation, then bearish resolution, second part of the move. This is actually very typical for the way markets move. Pretty normal. Also, too, I thought it was interesting about this image. Now, this market, like I said, there's resistance. So you could actually see, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's no reason why it couldn't. You could literally see a $10,000 rally on the price of Bitcoin here, and this pattern wouldn't change at all. So that's the irony of all this. If you look at this from a lower time frame perspective, obviously it's a little harder to stomach those bigger moves for most sort of swing traders. This is a 4-hour look. So there's that M top that we were just seeing off the daily charts. In this case, now you can see it's a triple top. So this particular consolidation, A to B, there's the first part of it. Then the market goes sideways. And C to D, right? This is what they call a continuation pattern. It would have you short at 28 and change, and you can see its target was just hit at 17 and change. And so I even pointed out here, I said, maybe if we're lucky, we can start forming a long trade down here. Because keep in mind, that's one directional. You might get like a 50% bounce up to like 26,000. That's $7,000. I mean, $7,000 to $7,000 to $7,000. So my sort of follow-up to that was, 4-hour levels hit. Let's now watch how the internal indicators are going to start acting off the lower time frames. Because the way I like to teach people to trade, I think it makes it really easy, is this sort of 3-step process. So number one, we're always looking for trade location. Location, location, location. It's the most important thing in real estate. In fact, they say there's 3 words in real estate. What are they? Location, location, location. Why would it be any different in investing in assets in the marketplace? Where all you're doing is using price, like location, location, location. Institutions buy down markets. Public buys up markets. Who makes money at this game? This is education 101 about capitalism. So, well, I hope so. So, point of the matter here is A, B, C, D. Believe it or not, this is actually a harmonic trade level. And our level 3ers right now are just doing their module on harmonics. And, there's no reason why we couldn't actually create a harmonics a mug for the collection, Josh. And I used to have God, I don't know. Maybe we need a harmonics blog post. Something really simple, like we could even do a blog post, Josh, where all we do is we just do this harmonic, right? It's very symmetrical, right? A, B, C, D. So that's that big daily. This is off the weekly chart, though. But that's that big honking harmonic that I'm worried about. I already said just a moment ago, there was a 4-hour A, B, C, D that was just hit down here. So anyway, like green boxes. Did Brian like green boxes? I think that check out the mug, right? Just go look at the damn mug. Where are the green boxes? And then notice on the mug, well, what comes up after green boxes, right? We want to see W's in price. We want to see bullish divergence. You want to see W's in the indicators. So anyway, point of matter here is we have location. That's good. Finally. Then, next up, we want to see some sort of signs from the indicators that the bloodletting is maybe overdone. So here's that 4-hour chart. So you can see as of yesterday when I was putting out that tweet, everything was still potential. So it's interesting. This potential divergence actually might even confirm itself and be something that we can actually use. You can see we're making lower lows in price. Higher lows in MACD. what we have to see, and all you level oneers, of course, you'll learn this in a few weeks' time when we get to the momentum module, is we want to see the histogram up through these highs. So that's like 372. Yeah, 372. Let's call it 373. So right now we're sitting 308. So if I can get just a little pump up there, up through 373, then we're going to have momentum divergences. And you can see the RSI has a beautiful bullish divergence that looks like it's confirmed, right? The high there is 39.73, and we're right now 44. It's interesting. I would call this a weak signal. The way that I would interpret this, of course, unfortunately, it's so tragic, but the public, of course, is shorting these late M's in RSI. So I often like to call the third or fourth, especially if we're going into oversold condition. I paint it purple, and I like to call it like the noob short. Anybody going short with RSI oversold, you're just asking for trouble. You really are. I mean, it's ridiculous. So don't do it. Just don't do it. Here's another mug we could do, Josh. Right? When do you not short? Do not short when RSI is oversold. It's stupid. All right. So Josh says I stopped when the breadth indicator got oversold. I know. Mugs and jugs. Who knows what all right, we'll get it off topic. Okay, so the way that I would interpret this now is we're trying to W out here. A couple W's. Really, I might even say there's one here. It's a big one. There's also another one here. And since this is kind of the first one, because these ones kind of got busted out, I'll just concentrate on this pattern here. We put in this W, which I would like to call teal, as sort of your first sort of warning shot. And you can kind of see that it did happen here, right? A little bit of a W warning. Then we had another W that came in here. Okay, I guess I'll do it. So the first one would be there. Noob's, of course, going short here. So this right here, that's cool your jets. Actually, the market's trying to firm up. So if you were short up top here, you probably want to cover on that event. But then the second one, I like to color yellow. And if it's below the 50 line, then I would consider it. This is the yellow, or the second W is I consider the trade trigger. You know what Mugs and Jugs is? If you know what Mugs and Jugs is, then you're a guy after my own heart. I remember when I first came to BC, there used to be stripper bars up and down Vancouver, Granville. There must have been like 10 stripper bars up and down Granville. Now there's not a single one, and they're all fucking condos, all owned by Asians now. I mean, it's shocking how Vancouver has changed. But when I lived in Res, one of the guys I used to live in Res he was from Surrey, and his favorite bar to hang out in Surrey was Mugs and Jugs. But that's an old timer, and of course all the ladies go, "Oh, what a misogynist, he's terrible." But I think they had male strippers too, so there you go. Okay, so back to our story. So a little bit of a buy signal. It's a weak signal because it's below the 50 line. You notice actually we never did get another W up through the 50 line. We kind of stalled out underneath the 50. And quite often what happens with RSI, if you want to write this down, it's a good study. I used to know a guy on the site who used to always trade this way, and it's totally valid, is he would actually say his signals need to come in through the 40 line and the 60 line. So those are the two levels that he's most interested in. Notice on us trying to recapture the 40 line, we completely crapped out. So we M out again, and I don't know whether you want to take that short. That's up to you. I wouldn't touch it. It's just not my style. I don't like shorting when the market's oversold like that. But market goes in W's again. So this is a cool your jets, kind of like this was a cool your jets here. And now the question is, do we put in a bigger W? And does this go through the 50 line? This has to be yellow now, because we have our first W as our teal, and this one is actually through there. Big W. Unfortunately, what this means is those people that are shorting, especially that the noobs coming late, that's dangerous. You don't want to be short when an RSI looks like that. Also interesting too, we don't really have an educational module. We really should. It's just we're so busy with trying to still develop out all the tools from my 1980s website. We just never got around to this. But hopefully you can see the Bollinger Bands compressing. For a guy like Sjord, actually that would be a, hey, pay attention. You don't really want to touch the market when the Bollinger Bands are expanding like this on RSI. You want to be hunting the trade setups when the bands are contracting. Meaning there's a compression in price, right? And you can see the compression in price. And there's going to be some sort of big move coming down the pike. So the fact that the bands were compressing here as this consolidation happened, and now we have a breakout through the top, I think that's actually a relatively bullish sign. Is this through the 50 line? No. So I'd still consider it a weak buy signal. This is not a strong market at all. But it is technically a bit of a buy signal. So it's interesting that we look at that, and what do we have happening down here, right? We'd even sort of said earlier that since we had that move stop to trailing level on the higher time frames, actually you can really see the high low a lot better here off of the 4 hour, believe it or not. I don't know whether I'd want to use the 4 hour for this setup, but anyway, you can see one high, and actually you might even go, that was a high, right? Because that's clearly a diamond. So one high, if I'm going to use the 3 high low method, 2 highs, 3 highs. I think I probably would want to have my stop somewhere up there. Maybe even up against that high there, because that is a pretty well-defined M right there. So I guess because the RSI is below the 50 line, MACD is trying to confirm here. What I think is going on here is we're going to try and get that rally that confirms MACD, that gets the RSI up into challenging that 50 line. And then this ultimately through this end of June, beginning of July pivot that I think is coming in here, but of course it's just Brian's opinion. I think maybe you get something along those lines that looks like that. The only problem with this thinking is you can't put the cart before the horse. I'm not saying that this is an inverted head and shoulders. I'm not saying that this thing's going to rally. All I'm simply doing at this point is just conjecturing as to what might a bottom look like. So I will be looking for the market to have a bit of a counter trend rally here. Remember, this is that noob short signal. I mean, you can all see the M, right? There's the M way up there, right? And then you even have an M within an M. And you remember, everybody watching this, remember on Thursday, Julian's baby powder report. He was pointing out that this looked like crap here, and we were going to puke out. Well, I got to say, he actually timed a really nice trade on the ES getting short right through that Thursday show. It's pretty darn impressive. So that's good. He's learning. Anyway, all I would say here is, you remember that noob short signal we had down here? Is it a good idea to come in on the short side down here? I don't think so. I think actually you're asking for trouble. So, I even put out, somebody even said, Well, because keep in mind that daily pattern is still working, and that's what bugs me about this. Is that this day? I mean, it's uglier than shit. Don't get me wrong. This is ugly. This daily pattern is still working, and there really is no bottom here. But as I just said there a moment ago, like, look at this. This is straight line down here. Could you have a period where the market bounces back and takes back a bit of that? And that head and shoulders thesis that I just told you off the lower time frames is nothing more than on the daily charts. All we do is rally back up to this peak here. Then maybe we pull back. Then if we actually start putting in W's, then we can start thinking about, hey, we might actually have a rally on our hands here. So there's still a lot of work to be done here. And what I'm worried about, keep in mind, there's your backdrop. That looks like crap right now. Usually they say the market, it's always darkest before the dawn kind of stuff. But also too, kind of like what does the end of a typical Bitcoin move look like? I mean, interestingly enough, you can kind of see it here. You can definitely see it here. You can definitely see it there. Usually Bitcoin can't, and right here, Bitcoin can't finish a move without some sort of big ass fucking rally or dump. I've been in this game so long that you almost need to have that big capitulation candle, big puke out. Everybody gives up. That's it. It's going to zero. And then that's your bottom. I don't know whether this past weekend's price action was enough. I mean, it was ugly, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like it was the capitulation. Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised over the near term we do something along these lines. That's what I'd be looking for. And the good part about it is now that this W has come in here, you can even see there's a nice little doji candle here. My hunch is they're setting up the bottom of some sort of new trading range. And you're probably going to hear me over, especially if you're on the site and you're watching daily briefs and all that kind of fun stuff. You're probably going to hear me talking about how this, as a candle body low, is a trade location. And you're probably going to hear me talking about how that is the bottom of a reload zone. Yeah, what a surprise, 78.6. You're going to hear me talking about how this is the bottom of value. So if you are interested in hunting longs, it's probably something down in this area. I don't think it's a good idea to chase that. I think you probably just let this exhaust itself, this move up here. And you never know. I mean, for the lower time frame players, this is a sloppy bottom. I'm not going to call this a pretty bottom at all. But, a W is a W is a W. You might find if we got one low, two lows, three lows, you might actually find that we actually set up a bullish bot setup off of, like, say, I don't know, like a 30-minute chart or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me. But what I would say, and actually we had this question from the level oneers today, which I thought was pretty pertinent. And they were like, should I be hunting long setups in the face of this really nasty daily price chart? And the way I would answer that is it is entirely predicated on your sort of skill set as a market participant. If you're relatively new to this, and if you're in the level 1 program, you are brand new to this. So don't kid yourself. I would say you would be better served to let the market give you some information, right? The inverted head and shoulders that we pointed out off of that 4-hour chart is something like boobity boo to boo to boo to boo, boo to boo, or something like that, right? And really all this is doing, just letting this form here, is it's just giving you some market information that, hey, actually the trend is turning back up. Right now, if you actually ask what the market structure is off these higher time frame charts, the trend is clearly down. And what are we seeing? I'm seeing, wow, look at that tight little M. But the bottoms, V bottom, V bottom. Then, just recently, V bottom. Look at this tight M. Oosh, V bottom. So if you actually just sit back and just say, what is the market saying to me? Price action itself is actually speaking to us. I believe that the price action alone is bearish. It's not bullish. But you notice, you can have pretty nice spike rally back up in this environment. Spike rally up, spike rally up. I could see that. But for the new investor, that's like swimming against the tide. I don't know whether you're a sailor or not, or if you have any sailing experience. You can technically sail into the wind. But I tell you, it's darn difficult. You got to know how to attack and jibe, and I have to know how to point, and watch the flutter of your jib and all that. God, I can't remember. I went to sailing school. I lived in sailing school for years. So the point being, you can do it, but it is definitely sailing into the wind, and the statistical probability of you making money taking long setups here, I think it's relatively muted. It probably better, kind of like here, you see how the market wanted to be bullish, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 big old M, down we go. And on the M, literally the market just collapsed. Where you're gonna be sitting here going, okay, come on, you could be a bull, you could be a bull, yeah, you can, and then instant bear signal, down she goes. So same sort of thing here, right? Okay, let's see if we can W it. It's a huge W. Come on, let's see if we can W. Notice these are V bottom, rally up. Okay, we're rock and roll. Instant M, up, down, bang, sell signal, boom, down she goes. I suppose, look at, they tried to W here again, up, down. Okay, we're gonna rock and roll, and then bang, down you go, and a new M, and then see ya, and then all hell breaks loose when we lose this trend line here. So, really, I think the message for the level oneers is you probably are best just to, if you want to be practicing your hunting short setups, which is difficult because we're now at the bottom end of the range. And I don't really recommend hunting short setups at the bottom end of ranges here. It kind of probably means that we all just got to cool our jets and just got to let this thing develop out. And my hunch over the next week or two is we're going to get some sort of bottom down in here. And it's at that point, maybe it's like 2 weeks from now, we'll look at the charts and we'll go, there's your bottom. All right, let's go. But I don't think it's there yet. And I think it's probably, especially you level oneers just starting this game, let's let this thing W out. Let's let all those divs start to form. I mean, on the daily chart, do we have any signs of divergence here whatsoever? Nope. And if anything, to sort of attest to, we got a little bit of a potential bull div there in OBV. We'll see how that plays out. But I mean, this is a great testament. Level oneers, you'll be learning this down the road. I built this indicator specifically to prevent me from buying over bought markets like here and from selling oversold markets here. Even if you're bearish here, I think you're best off to wait for Willie to get out of stupid and start rolling over and selling here. Now, in this particular case, it didn't make that much of a difference in price. But here we are, oversold again. So my feeling here is this probably is not the best time to be a seller. Maybe just let this thing counter trend rally back a bit. We've got this July, August window that we seem to think that the market should have a little bit of a bounce. I'd let that bounce happen, and that's when I'm going to be a net seller. And really, I love these high to low trend lines. I think they define price action so well. So we have this low to high trend line. There's your insane upside resistance. I don't think we see that trend line for a very, very long time. We have this high to low trend line, and I think that actually is defining support. And then we have this low to high trend line there to there, and I think that is resistance. And notice that's up in that Joey Diamond 38,000 area. So could we see a nice little counter trend? I don't know what the bottom is. Let's, worst case scenario, crank right down to that low. Could we have a rally back into sort of August, September, do something like that? I think so. It wouldn't surprise me. So that's what I'm looking for here going forward. But is this a bullish backdrop? Absolutely not. Terrible, terrible market state. Getting back to Josh, and I have to say, just having this information, it makes my job a heck of a lot easier. But if you don't believe me, when does Mr. Benner say you're supposed to be a buyer? And this is not 2023. We're still in 2022. The irony of it all is we go back. I mean, it just lines up so perfectly. And week after week after week, I have to keep saying the same damn thing. But if anything, it's good that the message always stays consistent. But, what does a typical correction window look like? Notice 1 year from peak to trough. I think 1 year from peak to trough. If you don't believe me, let's go back to previous cycle. Same thing. 1 year from peak to trough. In fact, that one was 59 bars. So a little bit over a year. Then good. What is this? This is 35 bars from the bottom to the halvening. This is your buying window, folks. Wait about a year or so following the blow off top. Let market get down into 70-80% correction territory. I think there's a guy, Simon Dixon, who every time I hear him do a Bitcoin video, he always says the same damn thing. I thought it was interesting. I even put a tweet out to that effect. I threw it on the charts. I don't know whether anybody even picked it up. But notice there is 80% correction of the entire Bitcoin range. Notice how, oh, gee whiz, what a coincidence. That basically is that bearish bought price objective. And we also have a couple foggy boggies out here. I wouldn't be surprised if that foggy boggy's traded too. And of course, that's also a big fat round number, $10,000. So, Mr. Dixon, he consistently every I've watched that guy now since basically about 2013 or so, and he says the same damn thing every single time. So I don't know why it would be any different. As soon as Bitcoin corrects 70-80%, you should actually force yourself to, now I must put myself on a dollar cost averaging buy program. And if I am an investor, I want to be like the institutional guys that make money from trading, not like the public and stupid idiots that go out and flaunt in your face their gold-plated stakes. Technical analysis doesn't matter. Buying markets that are in horrific divergence momentum-wise doesn't matter. Use my referral code because I need to buy another gold watch and go and take out a mortgage on your house. I don't care if you make or lose money. All I want is that commission from that referral code. Hate that. Absolutely hate that. Terrible. And the worst part about it is, there's like Michael Saylor. What the how does that guy, I started the video off, how does that guy get permission to have $1 billion under management? And oh, by the way, if you know how the mutual fund works, they have what's called an MER. So he actually gets to charge his management expense ratio. That's what MER stands for, based on assets under management. So if he has $1 billion under management and he has an MER of, say, 10 points or 0.1%, you do the math. How much money is that? Tell you, it's a hell of a lot of fucking Lambos. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the worst part about it. Like, what I don't understand is I sit here and you guys help me. Put in the comments, what am I doing wrong here? Because I spent 10 fucking years basically trying to help the world, trying to make a positive difference in this world. And then I watch fucking Alan. I mean, I can't believe how that guy sucked everybody into that stupid Dogecoin. And then I watched this clown. I mean, the worst part about it is, you know, they say history repeats itself. Look at what this guy did through the dot-com boom. And what do you think? The odds are that his fund's going to do exactly the same thing. Let's see if he'll be alive the next Jupiter-Saturn cross. I just don't get it. And then, of course, Doge, that's even worse. And frankly speaking, I mean, I know it's a little bit bad karma, but in a weird sort of way, you know, the way that he did not come out on that SNL show and at any time say, you know what, this thing's gone pretty far. You probably should just leave it alone. That was the right thing to do. That was the right thing to say. Didn't hear that at all. And I knew from the day that happened that this was going to happen. I knew it in my soul, in my gut. And I just kept going on about how frustrated and angry I am in this capitalist system that they could allow this to happen. I mean, do you know how many people's life savings have been just poof, gone? You nailed it there, Traveling. You nailed it. And then the question I have to ask is, Jojo, what the hell am I supposed to be doing here? I mean, seriously. I listened to you. I did everything that you asked, and 70 viewers out of 8.6 billion people on this planet. What am I doing wrong? What I think I need to do, I guess, is get more fucking coffee cups out there. Anyway, rant. Okay, let's get on with the edutainment for today. Yeah, I don't look at as many questions, so it should be pretty easy. It's now noon, so maybe we can get this done in an hour, and we'll head off into the sunset. Does anybody know how I can darken this this screen? I hate when it's like white like that. It just kills me. Turn on some more light in here. I think there's a darn mode. Okay. I guess so, TS. I guess so. Okay. Let's see what I got here. Hey, there you go. Oh, that's good. That makes me laugh. Josh, we got to have a mug with Beamish Isms, the X-rated one. It's an adult-only version. Sucking horse cocks. Oh, goodness. And everybody goes, well, Brian, you know, maybe that's half your problem is why do you swear so much? Anyway, it's all good. Okay, where are we here? Okay, I do remember answering those. Somebody asked me if I was a boomer. No, I'm a Gen X. Okay, my buddy is a dock worker in Long Beach. I seem to remember we talked about this. Their union's work agreement expires July 1st. Oh, yeah, and they're going to close down the California docks. Hey, do you see what's happening at Lake Mead? Oh, my goodness. Now, an interesting thing that I learned about Lake Mead. Actually, it turns out Lake Mead was a desert before anyway. Yeah, you know why? Because life's too short to spend your time getting angry. I usually only let the sort of the bitterness and stuff pop out when I have these public rants. Most of the time, I don't even talk about this stuff. And keep in mind, you know, my son is nonverbal, so I don't actually do a lot of talking. So the only time I talk is when these where and I express all this stuff is when I do these videos. Other than that, like like look at my Twitter feed. What do I talk about? I talk about trades. Like just to sign. I thought this tweet that I put out yesterday actually really personifies who I am. So I could sit here and I could bitch about all these other charlatans and what a joke their analysis is, and how they're just going to wind up getting into trouble. But God, there's got to be better ways for me to spend my time. And so this is the kind of stuff that I love to do. Is as a rational investor, I want to try and find both technically appropriate setups that juxtapose with rational thinking from a fundamental perspective of what's going on in our economy. And that's why I really love this kind of trade, where we know for a fact that the Canadian real estate market is a ridiculous bubble that could literally burst any day. And sadly, while the bubble, I mean, it's just like Bitcoin at 60, 70 grand. Exact same thing. While the bubble's going on and you warn people, hey, this could end badly, while that's happening, of course, you're a social pariah. Everybody hates you, And I even, one time I made a comment about Vancouver real estate market and how dangerous it was and how corrupt everything was. And I think that there's probably going to be a lot of arsons now as people try and get out of these ridiculously overly inflated deals that they're going to go bankrupt on. The response is, wow, you must get invited to a lot of parties. Not. But what I do like is I like to, and when I get really frustrated and I get really irritated by all the nonsense out there, I love to bury myself in trades and bury myself in analysis. And I have to say, this is a trade that we sort of identified about a couple months ago, I think, that institutional players putting on 11,000 contracts. I mean, this is not for the light of heart. This is obviously clearly an institutional player doing this trade. And I really like how it juxtaposed nicely with the fugazi of the Canadian real estate market, and how I think technically you could make the argument that these Canadian banks could be in big trouble. The irony of it all is that they will literally be given legal permission to steal their clients' monies, anybody who holds money in their deposit accounts. They will mysteriously do buy-ins to protect the equity of the banks. And then, worst case scenario, because these are chartered corporations in this oligopoly society we live in here in Canada, they're going to get bailed out anyway. So the companies themselves are bulletproof. And then that's the thing that really pisses me off mostly about this, is that, the Ben Bernankes of the world, it doesn't matter what's going to happen to the society. They're going to come out fine. Their shit's going to smell so pretty. No big deal. Mr. Whitehair, the leaf, his notes shaking like a leaf because he's literally probably decaying from the inside out because he sees how horribly corrupt this institution that he works for is, and how they just stole a whole generation's wealth right out from underneath them. But what I like to see is good analysis that leads to good trades because it was the right trade to do. And I'm very proud of my level 3 instructor who actually is in this trade, and his TA, who I told you earlier, Ray, has engines. These guys are becoming spread trade gurus, and I love it because that's the whole point of this site is, crypto is fun and all, but that's a very small part of the venture capital part of the market. And frankly speaking, the guys eating gold steaks and stuff like that because of their crypto winnings, Oh, great. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh awayeth. Let's see if there's any lawsuits. And the problem is you you stay in sort of a Western society and you're protected by the legal system, which means you might be open to lawsuits. You go overseas and you're not going to have a lawsuit. You're going to get a bullet between the eyes. They play hardball overseas. So we'll see how bad gets and whether people get themselves into trouble for some of the over-the-top marketing that they've done overseas. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. So I would rather bury my attention into research and bury my attention into what's the next way I can somehow make a positive difference. What's the next way I can somehow teach this to you guys? I can make this world a better place. I can become a better trader myself. That's how I like to spend my energy, not wasting it going off chasing after guys and calling them out for all their nonsense. It's better fish to fry, better ways to spend my energy. Okay, so back to our conversation. Eventually I'll get to this. Oh yeah, this almost looks like a different document. Okay, so oh yeah, we already did this last week, so we don't need to worry about this. Yeah, and you asked me what do I think about fractional reserve banking. The problem is that if it was done right and everybody was honest about it, I don't think it's a bad way of doing business. It's just that everybody is corrupt. Everybody is broken. And this goes back hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years. The only reference I know of Jesus Christ getting angry was getting angry at bankers. So it goes back. It's probably, hell, you could probably go back to like the Byzantine Empire. You go back to the Aztec Empire, and there's probably those leeches in our society that basically live this bankster, crooked inflation life, which is nothing more than just a tax. And the difference here I have with Milty is Milty would blame government. But I think that government is nothing more than democratically elected politicians. And the democratically elected politicians literally get their marching orders from special interest. And maybe you don't know the script when you get to Washington. The 1% will quickly bring you up to speed with their policies and their objectives. And if you don't agree, you might find that you will be politely removed from the equation. A la John Wilkes Booth, a la Lee Harvey Oswald, a la, and actually I wonder who's the name of the guy that took a poke at Jackson. A la, who's the guy who took a poke at Reagan? Anyway, list goes on and on. I think there's actually a lot of connections. Yeah. Well, and so that's the ultimate question, It's weird how I find that this one message that I heard years and years and years and years ago. I heard this message probably 30 years ago. And yet, the more I live life, well, Brady was the guy who got shot. Unfortunately, he was the guy who took the bullet for Reagan, which was so sad. Hinckley, wasn't his name Hinckley? I want to say Hinckley. Anyway, something like that. But I saw, I know it sounds weird, but I saw this one post. I can't remember what it was. This was way, way before days of Reddit and stuff like that. This guy said he came from the future, and he said that, he had sort of a message to us all. And when I read the message, actually, the message made so much sense. It was so cool. His message was humanity is nothing more than the universe itself reaching consciousness, becoming self-aware. The only problem is Vladimir Putin's, Adolf Hitler's, Joseph Stalin's. These idiots, they they keep us trapped in this old framework where we can't morph into that next phase of this species existence, knowing that we are part of this universe and we are the universe reaching self-consciousness and being self-aware. But we keep getting trapped in this materialist framework. It's like we're still the monkeys running around the savannah, and we just can't wake up to the fact that we are nothing more than just part of this universe. And if anything, we should be in awe of the fact that we actually have the ability to look at what this universe is and appreciate the beauty of it. Because keep in mind, if you're out on a fucking moon of Jupiter or something, it's just a frozen methane nothing. It's a rock just sitting there doing nothing. So just the fact that we've gotten to the point where we're aware and we can look at our surroundings and we can appreciate them. We are the universe simply being self-aware. But we're trapped, and hate to say it, but these banksters and the way that they steal like literally generations of wealth and keep us locked in this slavery of a society that this species lives, it just keeps perpetuating this same model, and we can't break this model. Sadly, that this person's society, they said that by time he was in their society, we had to have a massive nuclear war that basically broke this model that we're living in now. And in their society, actually, they had computers and sort of centralized AI that helped manage all of this kind of stuff, things like money. And you could argue that something like a Bitcoin is our attempt to try and break that bankster model. What are the banksters doing about Bitcoin right now? Do the banksters like Bitcoin? Have you heard what Joey Diamond thinks about Bitcoin? Well, yeah, I mean, Lenin, oh boy, do we want to open up that can of worms? I mean, I made the argument that the only reason why the Soviet Revolution happened to begin with was because the banksters wanted to get Romanov out of power because he wouldn't let a central bank be formed in Russia. So go figure. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, Borg. A lot of people make the argument that the whole Soviet Revolution, the whole damn thing, was all funded by the Rothschilds of the world. Isn't that ironic? And they also say that Adolf Hitler was put in power to try and undo their mistake in Russia, and that blew up in the banksters' face. So it's ironic how the banksters, of course, they completely derailed our society. They make the argument. One of you over there on YouTube mentioned Rome. Did you know that in Roman days they actually had the steam engine? So just imagine where we could have been as a society if they had taken that opportunity 2,000 years ago to get all that going. But no. You know why the steam engine failed in Roman times? Because the Romans themselves realized that if the steam engine put all of this labor out of work, they could have a revolution on their hands. So they put the kibosh on the steam engine so that all of the slaves would still have jobs. Go figure, right? Anyway, I tell you, this species, oh man, it's a piece of work. I thought it was interesting. I heard the other day, this is kind of a funny side commentary. I should probably answer these questions, but side commentary. Um, I heard that the Chinese, they have a deep space sort of signaling system that I think it was a week or two ago, their agency came out and said that they had gotten a signal from alien life forms off planet. And everybody's like, what? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everything of that reference was instantly erased from the internet. And all the agency people, they all shut up. Don't say a word. No, we don't know what. We were full retraction. We didn't know what we were talking about. We were just talking in tongues. Oh, that's a bit suspicious. Anyway. Okay, back to questions. Yeah, we talked about Ray. We talked about Ray Burchett and IDT, and I showed you the Demon Finder tools and the report card. So I never heard back, Francis. I think I was going to ask you for your report card. Keep in mind, in our level 3 program, the very first module back in level 3 is our quote unquote pro trader workbench. And we have about 3 or 4 different advanced trading rooms at TRI that you're not even allowed access to those trading rooms until you show Josh. I think it's Josh. Might be right. Anyway, one of the two. You show them your Pro Trader workbench. Although Josh doesn't sound right. I don't think it's Josh, is it? Zach, I beg your pardon. Zach actually has to personally, and I kind of like this now. Zach has to personally approve whether you have your Pro Trader workbench up and running, and whether we're willing to take a risk having you in our advanced trader rooms. Because keep in mind, the last thing any one of us want to do if we're thinking about day trading is have to worry about some other clown on the site going and blowing themselves up because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So I actually really like the way that the site has evolved, in that we'll let anybody into the lounge, and the lounge is the lounge. It's it's a fun place to chit chat. You can sign up for a 30-day trial and just hang out and just get to know the general site. And we have great conversations. We also do the daily briefs and stuff, so you get good content. We have a basic overview sort of site platform that I think works really, really well. It's just a nice little sort of get to know TRI. And then, go through the education program, show us you have your trading plans, you have your logs, you have your spreadsheets, you have your demon finders, you have your report cards. So we know that you're taking this business seriously, and we'll open up a number of different rooms. We have, in fact, actually level 3ers this week, they're going to be doing harmonics with Steven, our harmonic guru. In fact, all of them, Igor, Hafed, Steven, it's fun going in there and just watching them do their thing. We have, like I told you just a moment ago, Zach is really big on the spread trading, along with Ray, and so the TRI SOF Club. In fact, last Tuesday we had an awesome meeting and actually looked at the grain markets and the commodity markets. And then we have our day trader room. So anybody trading futures contracts, we have those rooms. It's actually, the site's turning into a really cool sort of, it has a number of tiers. So we can speak to the very new person. And of course, we have an education program that juxtaposed on all of this. So, if you want to be a day trader, great. We got everything all in place. Just follow the education program, get to work, and we'll funnel you into the various different rooms that appeal to you, and rock it. So anyway, back to the question. Sorry, terrible shill. I'm not sure if that was a shill or not. So point here is gave you all the tools, and the reason why Ray says that and actually, I remember specifically about Ray is he doesn't even talk to you about setups. He doesn't really care. You want to get your signals from how your dog food lands in the dog bowl. If it lands on the left side, it's a buy signal. Lands on the right side, it's a sell signal. He doesn't care. Okay, fine. that's that's what's going to get you to trade. Then that's what's going to get you to trade. It's really actually I was thinking about this is a good little soundbite. If you're listening and you're like, oh, I want some value, give me something. Your success at running a small business of trading and investing and speculating in this capital markets, it has so little to do with squiggly lines. It has nothing to do with squiggly lines. Ironically enough, you have to understand, do not participate when this asset looks like this. When this asset looks like that, okay, maybe take a shot. That's about the extent of the squiggly lines. Believe it or not, it's just that simple. What's more important at your success at this game is, can you manage yourself? Can you clearly articulate what it is that's going to get you to act, how you are going to act, especially relative to the amount of money that you are working with? Is it appropriate? Then, if you have to either take a loss or take a profit, you've already predefined exactly how you're going to act and you act. That's what actually defines whether you're going to do any good at this game. So sad. It's really simple. It's just nobody ever likes to hear that. Because what it really means is your success at this game has everything to do with, you know what it has to do with? It has everything to do with what's inside here, right? All your gray matter inside your brain. Can you manage yourself? Can you articulate your plan? Can you act like an adult? Do you let your emotions take over? Not much to do with this shit. Everything to do with this shit right in here and your psychology. So that's why Ray basically says, I don't actually teach setups. I don't teach squiggly lines. Squiggly lines aren't important. Very difficult for you. For new people who actually really want to do this as a business, this is almost impossible for new people to learn. But the great part about our program, right, is if you just do what we tell you to do, don't fight us. And I tell you, it's going to take you a full year just to even know what the hell this job is. So don't fight us. Grim's going to tell you, you have to log 100 paper trades. That's not risking a fucking penny before you really understand. And maybe that's going to take a full year to happen. Just do what we ask, and at the end of that period, you will know your shit. And the great part about it is I have not had a single person that has gone through our education program that at the end of the education program, they say, you know, Brian, I didn't learn anything. I'd like my money back. I give everybody that opportunity. I say it from day one. If you can show us that you showed up, you did the work, you didn't feel like you got value, I will give you your money back. And I've not had a single person. I had one person back in 2017, 2018 who wouldn't do any of the work, who wanted to float a stable coin, so didn't really have any interest in actually learning how to trade. And he kept coming on saying, I'm going to call my lawyer, I'm going to sue. You never told us this, you never told us that. And all of the other students went, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And that guy disappeared pretty damn quickly. All right, moving on. Given that Bitcoin is becoming somewhat institutionalized, do you think there are any benefits to trading Bitcoin looking for short-term setups on the weekends and after hours when the big guys are offline? Yeah, I think so. I mean, hell, just even this weekend. Where I guess that wasn't this one. This weekend, man, you could have made some great money if you were trading. I kind of was like looking at it the wrong way. So, and then I don't really have a lower time frame trading plan going for Bitcoin right now. Because frankly speaking, I'm like totally confused by this whole space. I'm unwinding the Trex account. I'll just get rid of all that crap here over the next month. Exceedingly disappointed in the corruptness of this space. So I'm sort of losing interest. I'm more interested in day trading, Bitcoin futures and getting involved in that than I am actual Bitcoin on the weekend. But I think you can make the argument that, even here, if you're like super slick, this to me looks like that was a reload zone. So could you have sort of earmarked, kept a close eye out for any kind of dips against this original market structure? And basically, the weird thing is for a professional trader, you trade, you don't have an opinion, you just take the damn setups. So something like coming in through the midpoint of the reload zone, you got a nice little doji bar, nice little inside bar. You're going to buy that reload zone and you're going to risk to a break in new lows, and you're just going to live with the results. Looks like it worked. That's right in the middle of the weekend insanity. So I would say that Bitcoin is volatile enough that if you are patient and you are disciplined, it doesn't really matter what time of day, there will be setups that come in. It is very, very volatile. Also, too, with Bitcoin, the good part about it, of course, is you can scale your size of your trade. I mean, hell, you could go buy $1 worth of Bitcoin here and have all the fun you want. You can go and probably put $1 million to work if you wanted to. But, that's through the weekend. And interesting enough, that was in the face. There was sort of the end of the regular session last week. Long setups got totally blown out. See you later. And you could have been sitting there going, okay, well, I just got to wait for some sort of reload zone setup. And sure enough, there it is. It came in about halfway through yesterday. And how ironic. Probably, yeah. So you can see. Probably by time we get through the weekend, they're just going to have brought the market right back to where they took it out. That wouldn't surprise me one bit, jerks. It's so typical. So, yeah, I think you could take trades through the weekend. It's not that big of a deal. In fact, what I would say is that the institutional players publicly trade through the week. They probably privately trade through the weekend. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. So, Brew, I think you get. In fact, actually, I think I heard that ETH did a really nice reversal through the weekend here as well. Okay, so somebody did ask me, and this was the whole point of what I was supposed to be doing here today. Somebody did ask me if I'd go through the sentiment indicators that are on the site. So in the education program, of course, we give you this basic matrix. These are some of the really simple sentiment indicators that I like to use for the stock market. And then we also have another link. Sharktoshi, if you're watching, I think it's in the educational modules, but I just don't have that handy. But there's a link in the, if somebody could post it, there's a link in the education module on intermarket analysis with all the links that I had from stockcharts.com of all their sentiment indicators. So if somebody can find that and either post it here in the lounge or post it in the Hangout here, I can review that. But just to go through these, it's pretty straightforward. It's not rocket science, guys. Don't overthink this stuff. So first and foremost, we have the number of issues making, all right, take it easy. We have the number of issues in the New York Stock Exchange making new 52-week highs versus the number of issues that are making new 52-week lows. Obviously, if the market's uber bullish, we're going to see a lot of stocks making new 52-week highs. So, before the 2000 health crisis, there was the new 52-week high, new 52-week low study in sort of January, February of 2000. You can see that number of stocks were making new 52-week highs. Pretty thin. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's pretty thin reading, only 300. And if anything, it was probably a good testament that, oh boy, this market could be in trouble. And then conversely, right, when we go into absolute face rip down mode, well, the number of stocks making new 52-week lows versus the number of stocks making 52-week highs. If there's a whole bunch of stocks making new 52-week lows, then that's a pretty bearish sign. And what we're really looking for here is we're looking for the M's and the W's at extremes. So you can see in this particular correction, everybody was all making new 52-week lows, and then all of a sudden, boom, in comes a W. Well, that's a contrarian indicator. So in essence, tons of stocks making new 52-week lows. Then, we all back away. Then we go down and test it. W, you all learned that in the technical analysis module here of this week. Put in a W, and away we go. So, hence, reversal. Pretty straightforward. This one didn't do it so politely, but nonetheless, really, I might argue that sentiment-wise, very bearish. Oh, it's the end of the world. Hey, wait a minute. We're not making the number of stocks making new 52-week lows is not growing. And then, okay, well, maybe now we'll do it. No, still not making new highs. Then a reversal. So this one's got an M inside it, but that is a W. So that right there is a reversal signal. So it looks like correction's over. So that's really simple indicator. You see, remember I said there in 2000, that was before the health crisis, right? You see these M's starting to come in here. You should have been like, momentum starting to wane. Not so bullish. Maybe turn it a bit bearish. All right, so that's that one. Next one, this is the percentage of stocks that are above their volume-weighted average price. Technically, it'd be the same study as new 52-week high, new 52-week lows. Volume-weighted average price, that's usually sort of like a medium, right? Think of the POC, if you ever hear me talk about the POC and TradingView and stuff. Usually the POC is about the middle of the range. So same sort of thing with percent of stocks on the New York Stock Exchange above their VWAP. And you can see, the raw number is all over the map. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So a lot of times on these kind of indicators, I'll just throw in a moving average. So it slows the information down. Now you can see, number of stocks that are below the VWAP, but then all of a sudden we see a W coming in. Well, that is a turn right there. And you see the number of stocks above the VWAP. Well, that's accelerating. We didn't make an M top here, but is that usable information to tell you, hey, this market's pretty happy? I think so. Then conversely, number of stocks making new above the VWAP here, falling, and we have an M. Is that useful information through this window to be thinking about the market moving down? I think so. Seems logical. Look at this M right here. Oof, bang. Now, should we be thinking down market as this is trending its way down? I think so. Seems logical. So hopefully you can see this is the same thing as the new 52-week high, new 52-week low. The only difference here is that I'm using a moving average because the raw data on any daily basis, it's up, down, up, down, up, down. So I think using a moving average to interpret this is a little bit helpful. So what's the message recently? Well, you can clearly see we just M'd out here. So we just got a bearish signal as what is that? That's like right there. So that's as of June 13th. And what has the stock market done? I think it's gone down a little bit. I don't have the S&P on here, but I suppose we can do that. Let's see. I guess that's that one. I put that on there. Oh, okay, what am I doing wrong here? Compare. Oh, yeah, it's gonna do it on the upper one. There it is. It's up here, maybe. Okay, I don't know what the hell I'm doing now. All right, yeah, okay, so let's put this on. There we go. All right, so you can see the top, new 52-week high, new 52-week low. It M'd out. You can see the top in the number of stocks above their volume weighted average price. It topped out. And what did the stock market do? Stock market's been going down. Is there a W here? Nope. Is there a W here? Not yet. It's interesting. The raw data actually did put in a W down there. So it might be interesting to see if the selling abates a bit. So no W on the moving average. And also, too, you can see, and this is it. This is an interesting illustration. Sometimes these indicators, W there, W there, W there, stock market should rally, right? And you get that move. Oh, that's not much of a rally. But that is the point of these indicators, is their sentiment. Sentiment was bearish here. Sentiment bullish here. Doesn't really mean that price has to move a hell of a lot. Think of it as like the sentiment indicators is the wind. The market itself is the boat. But if the boat doesn't have a very big sail, then great, you're gonna have the wind blowing like crazy. But if there's no sail to capture the wind, the market doesn't do anything. So that might be a way for you to kind of think of the comparison. All right, so very straightforward sentiment indicators, not rocket science. Don't overthink this stuff, guys and girls. Same thing. Next up, it's the number of stocks that are advancing on the day versus the number of stocks that are declining. Same logic. Also, this is the number of put options that are bought in the stock market versus the number of call options. So in this particular case, if you have puts over calls, then if a lot of people are buying put options, then this ratio will be really high. If there are not that many people buying put options, then the ratio will be really low. People only buy put options when they freak out and they're scared. But the problem is that people usually only buy those puts and think of it like flood insurance, right? People only buy the flood insurance after a flood happens, not before. So usually in the stock market, people buy puts after the market's broken or as the market is breaking. And then they often end up paying way too much for those insurance policies. So good contrarian indicator. You can see number of put options being bought in the marketplace is getting pretty high. If this goes and M's out and we start heading down again, then that tells me probably the bearish enthusiasm is waning. Interesting how when the put call ratio is trending down like this, not many puts being bought, lots of calls being bought. Notice the amount of stocks advancing in the stock market was booming higher here. Then that starts to peter out, less stocks making new highs, less stocks advancing. We're working our way down. Put call ratio starts to go up as people start buying put options, right? Start buying that insurance. So this is coincidental indicator. This is contrarian indicator. Hopefully that helps. Volatility index. This is a measure of how do we say this succinctly? The problem here, of course, is that this index is highly, highly manipulated. It's actually, and a lot of firms get caught manipulating stocks to try and manipulate this index because it's not technically set in stone. It's not like if this equals that, then this must equal that. This is more a function of if prices of assets are moving a certain amount, and usually it's a percentage of the price of the asset, then this index will start to perk up. And really, I don't really like the name volatility index. It should really be called the asset goes down in price index, because you can have dramatic upside volatility. Prices are exploding higher, and yet this thing is falling. So it's clearly not demonstrating the actual volatility of the asset. More, it's measuring, is the asset going down appreciably? And really simply put, it's a contrarian indicator. When stock markets are crashing, this thing goes haywire. So, of course, there is our March bottom. And the funny thing is like that's through that top. We talked lots and lots through this topping event. There was a whole bunch of options data. I was barking up and down about how the crony capitalism, they were all getting away with murder. Jeff Bezos even sold a ton of his Amazon stock here. Then, the sickness correction happened. Shouldn't we debate mortgaging our kids' future? Shut the fuck up. Just give them the money. Give them the money. That's the shit that the banksters love. Get the politicians acting and thinking emotionally. And hey, if they have to kill a few people along the way, so be it. It was interesting through this, the market actually bottomed, like literally within a day of somebody actually publicly came out and said publicly that they were willing to sacrifice their life to save the stock market. What? This is just money, people. I'm immensely disappointed in this human species and the way that equity valuations often dramatically shift public's perception of the value of life. It's pathetic. I'm going to stand in front of my maker and I'm going to say, you had the choice to send me to live this life. I could have been a Martian. I could have been on Alpha Centauri. Hell, I could have been a bacteria at the bottom of the ocean. But no, you had to send me to live this human life and have to deal with these corrupt fucking apes running around just shitting on each other and taking advantage of each other. Why? Why did I have to be put through this shit? I still don't know what the answer to that is. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is that, as you can see, right, stock market collapses. This VIX index goes through the roof. Were there people that made money on this move? You better believe it. Did a lot of people buy the volatility index up here, expecting it to go to the moon, right? Because they're all pumped up with adrenaline. Yes. And the irony of it all, of course, is gaps like to be filled. About how often? 90% of the time. And sure enough, once that move happened and everybody was all emotionally charged and the banksters got exactly what they wanted out of the politicians, that was the end of the correction, and up we go. And in this case, back down you go. What is the message out of this thing now? Well, clearly you can see this was our bottom, big old W down there. And the old rule is, and it's interesting how they couldn't even get this thing back down. The rule is anytime the VIX index gets down into single digits, it's a no-brainer buy. So it's interesting how through all of this, they couldn't get the VIX index back down into single digits. That might be a function of because of the sickness background nonsense. But I was a little surprised. They filled the gap in, but now they've turned it back up here. Now, problem is, do you want to trade this? I don't think it's a good idea to trade this, to be honest with you. I see too many people's hearts broken. You want to buy maybe a long-term call option? Well, wait for it to get down into sort of low teens, single digits. That's when you want to be buying the calls on this thing. And really, all other times, I just leave this alone. Just try and understand that this is a key component going into options prices. So when the market's crashing, remember we said the put call ratio should go through the roof. Do you see how option prices are going to be super expensive up here? And then, like we said a moment ago, when everything's hunky-dory, the put call ratio is heavily in favor of the calls. Nobody's thinking about the market crashing. Option prices are really cheap. So in a weird sort of way, this is probably the better way. And this is what I'm going to have you do in the level 1 program when we go through risk management next week, is I want you to look at the volatility index, and you are going to do a study about actual options prices. And right now, my hunch is that the insurance premium that you're going to pay to insure your portfolio with the VIX at 31, it's actually going to be pretty expensive. And if anything, you as a level 1er, I want you to come back and refer to this study. So down the road, you're going to see the volatility index go through the roof. And I want you to be able to have notes when you did this study in your level 1, what was the cost to insure a portfolio with the S&P 500 index and the options on the SPY. And I want you to be able to, in the future, when you see the VIX down in single digits, compare what that cost to insure that $100,000 portfolio is, what it is now, and then conversely, if we get into another crash scenario, for fun, I want you to be able to go and look at the difference in that insurance cost, because it's an excellent way for you to really understand the real mechanics of what's going on here. Very simply put, when the stock market is crashing, insurance is expensive. When the stock market is booming, insurance is very cheap. So that's the whole point of this exercise. And I really do not want you trading this. Moving on, gold and silver ratio. So these are like, think of the top ones. These are internal indicators in the stock market. VIX, advanced decline line, put call, number of stocks above their VWAP, stocks making new 52-week high, new 52-week low. We have a bunch of other ones from that stockcharts.com page that is in the level 1 class. Again, somebody can give me that link. I can talk about them. The rest of the index charts and ratios are all about intermarket analysis relationships. So that's looking at the way assets are working in the market against each other. What's the preference? Does somebody prefer to own gold over silver? Does somebody prefer to own industrial stocks over transportation stocks? Does the market prefer to own paper assets in the form of the Dow or own hard assets like gold or Bitcoin? What is the relationship between various different interest-bearing instruments, ones that have inflation protection insurance and ones that don't? What's the actual yield on mortgages? And are people feeling pretty good about the housing industry? Did you guys see this? Holy shit. So it looks like mortgage rates are just cranking higher here again. So Zach, he was thinking up here 127 to 141. Looks like he was right. Brian was thinking we were going to stall out at 127s, and that you can see what I was sort of projecting. But look at this. Jesus, rates are still keep going through the roof. Dude, I mean, like you could just look at this image and you should go, all right, there's going to be a pretty happy-go-lucky housing industry. There's going to be a tough industry. It's just that simple. Right. Okay. So there's another one. I don't happen to have that on this matrix, but another really good intermarket analysis relationship that we like to follow is the Fed spread. And actually, this used to be called the TED spread back when the T-bills was actually the guaranteed rate. And if anything, the fact that we're now calling this the Fed spread, this is a clear illustration that the bankers own our fucking society. They basically, the cartel, we don't live in a democracy anymore, people. I don't know whether you're aware of that. We live in an oligarchy, if that's such a word, a technocracy. I think that's what they call it, like technocrats. So fascinating. I mean, this is actual literal evidence that the banksters run our society. It's shocking. It really is. And yet, does anybody in the public have any idea what the fuck this is or what's going on here? It's pretty sad, eh? Anyway. Okay, so if you have any questions about any of these intermarket analysis relationships, feel free to ask. I mean, I could spend a lot of time just talking about each and every one of these. I will say, I mean, if anything, just because obviously, you know, what I found is that in years gone by when there really was no sort of, good heavens, what the fuck is that? John Brunelli just lost it. What the fuck is that? Elected dictatorship. Yeah, tell me about it, eh? And the funny thing is the guys that run the banks, they're not elected. Did anybody vote for Joey Diamond? I mean, ironically enough, you want to know who's more powerful? Is any person in Washington as powerful as Joey Diamond? I don't think so. I think Joey Diamond actually is one of the guys who actually makes the decisions around the United States of America right now, not the people that you see in Washington. So anyway, so years gone by, I used to talk to people about the TED spread and stuff, and it wasn't really an issue. And so people are like, oh, I'm not interested in that. If anything, just remember this. If you're going to write something down, you do not want to be talking about the TED spread. If we are talking about the TED spread, then that means there is something seriously wrong in our system. It's just that simple, folks. So the fact that we are talking about the TED spread right now, that's not good. That's not a good sign. And I might even say that as soon as this thing becomes yesterday's conversation and we hear, nah, that's, you know what, that was a Benner cycle thing. We're now into 2024. We're beyond that. We've had the Great Reset. Klaus has all fucked us up the ass with all his KY jelly and the whole damn thing. And now we're living in this new, maybe loaf of bread is $10 a loaf. Could very easily be. Part of this also, to me, feels like this is part of the Chinese 100 years of humiliation. I believe that there is a serious movement within China to make sure that the West and Western society lives 100 years of humiliation, just like they had to go through. So to a certain degree, this is kind of writing on the walls of that we're into the 100 years of humiliation scenario. If the banksters can actually somehow get control of this situation and try and get in front of the inflation curve and try and get this runaway government spending in the West, like my leader in my country right now, he's basically bankrupting our country. All you Canadians watching this video, please understand, your leaders are bankrupting us. We have no choice. This is just like him going out and just basically taking out all the credit cards he can possibly get And, I tell everybody, the worst part about this is it's like I'm the messenger. So all I'm telling you guys is what's actually happening on the ground. Half the time when I'm barking about Bitcoin, I'm just reporting. I'm not saying buy or sell. I mean, we all know the Canadian banks are short, but just look what our dear leader has done to our country. What the hell's the damn symbol? It's shocking when you look at the damage this guy has done. And it's single-handed. He has a minority government, a minority. There's no mandate from any population. If anything, he should be doing absolutely nothing through this. But look at what this guy has done. It's shocking. I got the symbol wrong. I get all excited. I can't keep my head on straight. Look at this. Canadian Core Government of Canada Bond in it. This is the capital stock of the country of Canada. Boom. Look at this. I mean, it's a train wreck. Ironically enough, TRIers are going, well, actually, that's exactly what you were supposed to expect, Brian. But, oh my goodness, there's your crisis. And this is him just going absolute runaway spending. I'm just going to spend all the possible money I can. And frankly speaking, I think he's doing it unconstitutionally because there's never been a vote. He has a minority government. You might even find down the road that actually it's subject to some criminal investigations. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. The amount of just over the top, Klaus driven, great reset. We're going to remake the whole fucking world. You will own nothing and be happy. Why? Well, because your governments are going to bankrupt your societies. Hey, well, that's nice. Party. Anyway, so I mean, gee whiz, there's a graphic illustration of what Justin did to country of Canada. And, as I showed you, it's not isolated. And, you look at that and you go, well, that's a government. Who gives a shit? Well, this is your life. This is you having to, because keep in mind, you're a slave. Now, remember, I don't play by this game. I'm neither a debtor nor a lender B. I do not want to have a mortgage. I do not play this game. But that's what Mr. Trudeau's policy has done to just imagine all the sort of the people that just are first home buyers that came in down here, and the banks were just going fucking crazy. Oh yeah, this is the perfect time to buy. And of course, variable rate mortgages, 3 to 5 years, take advantage of the low rates. This is the same damn thing that happened in 2008 in the U.S. market. It's identical. So, okay. Keep in mind, the government is the one who's driving the bus here. It's not consumers that did this to Canadian government bonds. This is Mr. Trudeau and his silly finance minister who has no education whatsoever in the industry. And she says, well, the reason why housing prices are so high is because Canada is so popular. Yeah, the house prices go up 50% in 1 year because Canada is so popular. Oh, and by the way, there is now a 2 million person backlog in the Canadian Immigration Department. 2 million people are trying to get into Canada. And oh, by the way, they did this cute little study recently that found out that 2/3 of these people are coming to Canada and living on social assistance. That's called welfare. You and I, as Canadians, we are paying their income. What? How the hell does this work? Number one, 2 million people. That's almost like a 7 or 8% increase in the population. And 2/3 of them are on Welly? That's not going to support $2.5 million home price in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I'll tell you that much by crackers. The math doesn't add up here, people. There's something seriously wrong with this logic. It's terrible. Anyway, did I mention I'm looking at places in Portugal that I'm going to buy with cash, and I'm not going to be a part of the banking system, and we're just going to sit there and trade our futures contracts and trade our crypto and just have fun being outside the system? Oh, well. All right, so I don't know whether all that rant helps, but would you be able to go through your sentiment indicators? I did that. Broad market analysis, just want to know what you are thinking and looking for as opposed to a prediction. Well, hopefully that gave you a pretty good idea. And, by all means, if you're on the site, yeah, I'm not gonna say EU's any better. I'm not gonna say that one bit. But what I will say is that the commodity specific countries, I think, are in real trouble. And it's not so much that I think that the price is cheap and I think it's going to collapse. I think it's that the prices in Canada and Australia specifically, and I would also argue Russia. We had an interesting conversation recently about Russian real estate. I think that their prices are too high. And that kind of like Bitcoin, $60,000-$70,000. I would make the argument Canada is exactly the same. It's not, I'd be more than happy to buy all the fucking Bitcoin I can below $10,000. I think that's a steal. In fact, I did go and buy a shitload of Ethereum there recently at $1,000. Big fat round number. I'm more than happy to be long. I'll buy the big fat round number on Bitcoin at 10 G's. So it's not that I don't like Bitcoin, but if you go and buy Bitcoin at $60,000 a coin, you're a fucking idiot. It's just that simple. And these people are idiots. You want to see what I think is going to happen to Bitcoin here? And it's going to break your hearts. And it's probably going to kill people like Michael Saylor. But we had to, again, I made reference to this guy earlier, this Eddie guy, because I think he's going to own half the world by the time he's done all this. But he put a chart together recently, which I thought was spot on. I think basically there's your future. I mean, you try and tell me history's not repeating itself? If we don't learn from history, are we not doomed to repeat it? Did Amazon go out of business? Amazon never went out of business. One of the most valuable companies in the world now. Could you see Bitcoin take 5-10 years and just clean itself up here? Believe it or not, actually, I don't think that's too unrealistic. I could very easily see, they bring Bitcoin back down to current cost of production, which I think is below $10,000. And according to our logic, this next halving should take Bitcoin back above 10,000, the cost of production, which would mean that, even if we got a triple, Bitcoin works its way back up to 30, 40,000. It's now 4 times cost of production. Could that be something like this? Sure. Then we go through another cycle, exactly the same. Then Bitcoin's next cost of production level jumps up to 20,000. And then one more after that. And we're finally getting back to Bitcoin cost of production, fair values, 40, 50,000. So if Bitcoin takes 4 years to go through these cycles, I've just laid out the next 12 years for you guys. Simon Dixon was shilling BTC to his community at 60K. I don't think so. Anytime I ever listen to Simon Dixon, he always says, wait for Bitcoin to correct 70 to 80% of its price. That's been pretty much his consistent theme. Now, how do you stop people from coming in and FOMO buying the top? I could understand a guy as big as him. You get these guys that come in, they're worth 50 million bucks. They think they fucking walk on water. And you try and tell them, look, it's not such a good idea to come in up top here.
and they'll that to them that's like fighting words. So I can imagine for a guy like Simon, it was probably damn difficult to stop people. I mean, how do you that Michael Saylor guy, if you actually said that he was foolish for buying Bitcoin up at 60 grand, the guy would have literally gone to the mat with you. And I just think it was a horrible idea. So I'm not sure about Simon. I'd give Simon's a pretty smart cookie. But anyway, maybe he did. Anyway, point of the matter here is I thought, Eddie put this study together and I said, God, that looks like that probably is our future. And it looks pretty damn good. And the funny thing is in the next year or so, we come down and we bought them, 8, 9, 10,000 bucks, whatever, kind of like this. And we have a nice little rally because I think you're going to get a pretty good rally, 24, 25. And they take the market back up to, 40, 50 G's. You guys are all going to be feeling pretty good about life. Question ultimately is what happens over here? Do we roll back over? Because keep in mind that we're not in a commodity friendly cycle anymore. So Bitcoin did its job admirably while we were in this. Well, we got to keep printing money to keep the fucking system going. Okay, cool. I'd appreciate that, Frog C, if you could do that. Okay. I hope that helped. And as I said, maybe tomorrow I'll dig up that and even you, whoever asked this question, can you just grab the link from the level 1 slide deck of those stockcharts.com sentiment indicators? And I'll talk on Monday's show tomorrow about that. Okay, Brew, last question. Then I got to head off to Liam here. In Module 4 PDF, you asked us to really get to know one of the intermarket analysis study. I chose to really get to know the market breadth tool. Good. Graham went over how to use this tool, but I was curious if I was to replace this on TradingView, what combination of charts indicators would one use? You're not going to be able to do it on TradingView. It would require that you have to build the DI. It would require that you have to do the DI off of multiple time frames and then create a cumulative study. Then it would require that you get all of the scores of all of the components that are in whatever you're measuring, like the Dow 30 or crypto top 30, get those scores. Then it would require you do a bullish percentage index study off of all of those scores. And then you'd have to do moving averages off of the bullish percentage index study. So I doubt you could replicate this on TradingView. I know for a long time that you couldn't create the cumulative DI very well on TradingView, but I think they got through that. In a level 2 program, we'll actually give you the Pine script of how you can build the DI on TradingView yourself. You could ask Sharktoshi for help. He probably has a version of it running. I don't know whether he's got to the point where he's done the market breadth part of the DI, because as I said, you'd have to build an index of all of the assets within that particular sector. And then you'd have to build the bullish percentage. So for example, stockcharts.com, and we talk about this. Well, I guess it is the links that I asked you guys to find me, but I guess nobody could find it. It is the links that we have in here, that page. And what I'm specifically talking about is the bullish percentage index. So in essence, pick an indicator. Oh, geez, no, that didn't work. How the hell do you do this? Maybe over here. All right, so here we are. No, we're not. Here we are. No, we're not. God, I can't even find it. Bullish percentage index. There it is. TIP. Maybe that's it. That's commodity channel. Maybe in chart school. Bullish percentage index. There you go. So the best way for you to think about the breadth indicator. This doesn't even really look very helpful. What the hell is this? I don't want stock charts. I guess maybe stock charts has their own indicator, but bullish percentage index is actually drawn off of point and figure charting. Here we are. Chart school. There you go. So to try and understand how the DI works off of the dashboard, like this indicator line, you have to think about the bullish percentage index and how it's calculated. And the bullish percentage index is calculated using point and figure buy and sell signals. It's too bad they don't give you, because you should be able to get this. Like if we go bullish percentage index, and I don't know why they're making it so difficult. It's never really this difficult in the past. But for instance, right, you should, look at that. It just doesn't work. You should be able to get a bullish percentage index off of things like the New York Stock Exchange. No. Maybe. There we go. NYSE bullish percentage index. So this would be the same thing as this. And interestingly enough, do they kind of look similar? This, unfortunately, is just over the past, month and a half. But you can see there is that rolling over, right? There's month and a half. So there's April. It went down, up, and then rolled over and made a new low. So our indicator went, down, up, rolled over, and made a new low. This, however, remember I said earlier, the bullish percentage index, this is calculated taking all the S&P 500 companies and asking if they have a point and figure buy signal or a point and figure sell signal working, and that's how they calculate the bullish percentage. The DI are our TRI's bullish and bearish breadth indicator is based on whether the stock is issuing a DI buy or sell signal. So, and the way that we calculate DI buy or sell signals is we calculate 3 different time frames technical indicator and then average, so it gives us a very wide reading technically speaking, and then it's just a question of is this moving average relationship bullish or is it bearish? So in this particular case, interestingly enough, if we were asking what is the bullish percentage reading for something like the Chinese yuan, you would actually say we had a bullish reading as of whatever date that is. That looks like it's the 18th of May right there. And that's off of that double bottom. That makes sense. So notice how they're still pointing bullishly here. So I don't know whether that answers the question, but hopefully you get an idea of how this isn't something that I just whipped together in 10 minutes. This took me many, many years to put together and to sort of conceptualize the whole idea. It probably looks really simple, and it looks, and in a weird sort of way, I've had some people say that the website and the data kind of looks like 1980s, 1990s, but this information is incredibly important. All right, thank you, Glass Insights. I think I'm going to leave the question at that. I hope you understood what I said. We can talk lots more about this. I did create a very basic overview tutorial that I thought I put in the library. So if you want some more sort of chat about the breadth and the way I want you using this information, I think TRI dashboard walkthrough introduction. So this video is about 50 minutes long, and it should help really understand, should help you understand how to use the both the breadth information, but also two things like the histogram and how to access all the charts, just sort of get a visual confirmation. So. All right, that was a $55,000 seminar to an institution. I know, I'm a stupid idiot, eh? Fuck me. Oh, well. I've told you guys repeatedly, and let's end it on that. I started this adventure 8 years ago because my wife came to me one night and she said, of course, I was distraught. I was seriously considering committing suicide myself, really had no reason to be alive. And she literally came to me, and I remember this dream like it was yesterday, and I'll remember it until I get to join her again when it's my time. But she basically came to me and said, Brian, you have the opportunity. And that's the key to all this. She didn't say you will. She didn't say you are going to. She said you have the opportunity to make a real positive difference in this world. So I think Spirit, they saw that. I mean, she invested 18 years of her life believing in me. And I mean, God rest your soul, sweetie. I love you to death. Oh, it's a terrible thing to say. I love you. I will be with you. I'm trying so hard to live up to that message. And the reason why I know that this is for real is because she said to me at the very same time, in the next sentence, she said, but Brian, you have to learn how to listen. I'm not very good at listening. It sucks. I'm trying. I really am. I will say over the past 8 years, I've gotten a lot better. I think I have a lot more tolerance for all of you beautiful people that have been brought into my life, and giving you your room to grow and make mistakes and try and learn from those mistakes. I think there's a very specific reason why I'm on this crazy ass mission. It's been actually a real privilege. I will say I've gotten to know a lot of you, and you're really good people. In a weird sort of way, this experience has actually reaffirmed my faith in humanity. I do think that there is potential for this species. There really is. I think that the answer is through education. When you educate people, you empower them. So then they don't become mindless automatons that the banksters can just screw over and take advantage. So it's my privilege, it's my honor to be part of this experience. And until my last breath, I will continue on this mission of just trying to make this world just a little bit better of a place. So on that note, thank you for listening. Hope you learned a thing or two. Good luck to all students. I only have the best wishes for you. I'd love to see every single student that goes through our program make it to the level 3, where you get invited to our advanced trading rooms. I'd love to see the population of those rooms grow. So that's what I want. And interestingly enough, I think it's ready. And I've had dreams that tell me that we're ready for the next chapter. And I think the next chapter is we have to create a physical campus where not only do we all get to trade together, but if you want to, you can just come to a nice, safe place, and we'll have yurts and stuff on the property, so you can crash and we can all trade together in a big communal trading room, and we can all grow and learn and live and flourish together, and really start making this a permanent change to this world. So on that note, um, have yourselves a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. PMA for the win. If you could all give me a nice little karmic shout out so that Liam and I can have a nice, happy afternoon drive, I will go give him the full tour of the Lower Mainland as he's been getting so often of late, and I'm very privileged and honored and to be able to do that for him. And I'm sure he would thank all of you for your ability to help me do that for him. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the ability to convey that, so we just all have to assume that that's what he's thinking. But your best wishes, I tell you, your karmic thoughts, and I know a lot of you go, good luck, Brian, good luck, best wishes, and it actually does make a difference. So on that note, I'll let you all off the hook here, one mug at a time. Thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. PMA for the win. All the best. The only thing left for Brian to say is bye for now.